How are you?
I'm good.
Susan tonight.
Oh,
Nazi.
Oh,
Hi, Melissa. Thank you for joining us for the first time.
Melissa?
There's 8 of us on the call. This is great.
Hi,
Good.
Melissa. I'm Marcella.
Just we're giving it some time for other people to join in, and we all just introduce. All of us know each other aside from Marlisa. She's the newbie here. Susan looking stunning as ever, all done up.
thank you.
Beautiful tonight.
Thank you.
Looking nice, Susan.
I washed my hair.
money on. That can't. Kids. The smallest thing scares them. My kids are out there watching Alpha Omega, that cartoon, and apparently there's like this scary part on it or something. I think it's more attention.
No, that happened.
Well, we do have a topic. This is the difference between the Tuesday or Thursday night calls that we do.
Okay.
And, the first 20, 30 minutes or whatever, we just like get people to join in, and then we stay on topic about the conversation. And I'm watching you, Autumn. That was kind of funny to see that. Oh, there she goes. Yeah, the topic we have tonight, if you guys haven't seen, is what can I do to improve? And this goes with just about everybody. It's a general conversation about self-improvement and looking at ourselves. And of course, most of us are survivors. So, but for even the caregivers, it's a big one as well.
Yeah. Did you hear her, Michael?
Yeah.
He said, keep on keeping on.
That's right. That's absolutely
That's right.
So what did you think about that video?
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, what did you think about that video of Rachel standing up with no...
Oh, that was wonderful. That was really, really cool. I was very proud of you. Very nice, Rach.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
When did you do that?
I'll have to send you the video, Susan, when we get out of the meeting. That way you can see her. She's standing up all by herself, but holding on to nothing.
Oh, wow. That's great.
First time in 6 years.
Oh.
6 years.
I bet it must have felt good.
Had me ugly crying. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I bet it must have felt good, Rach. Right?
Hey, I'm gonna switch to the laptop, so I'm switching over. I'm on my phone right now. My phone doesn't have enough power.
Okay. Yeah, I'm hearing crackling. I'm not sure where that's coming from. So.
That might be for me.
Oh, okay. Marlisa just left. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so that was her first time on call. Maybe she'll call back in.
It still hurts. Let work.
What's that? What'd you say?
Say it again. It don't hurt. Stick in your mouth. It works.
Oh, Sherry, it's yours that's breaking up, making that crackling noise.
Okay, well let me, and then I'm gonna get on the laptop.
Okay. All right.
So I'll be right back.
All right, then.
All right. Oh. Okay.
So,
Leave me.
Autumn, we got to catch up. How are you?
There we go.
Uh-oh. As I say, how are you? She goes quiet.
Make the women are shy.
Sorry.
It's okay. How are you doing, hon?
Good. Just getting used to this job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the promotions that you're doing. You're putting a lot of time and effort in, and that's awesome.
I am. I'm doing that, and now I have a day job as well. So I'm working at a rehab center.
Oh, awesome. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. It's like most of my experiences working in healthcare. Well, this is a little bit different. It's been a while since I've worked in a setting like this, but it's kind of like a nursing facilities. It has like traditional nursing and then skilled nursing, and they have inpatient and outpatient services for the rehab. And my boss is the director of rehab, and I do a lot of the, I guess, tech jobs, tech work, but I'm considered admin assistant because I'm not certified, so I can't do transfers and I can't lift patients, but I can do an assist where I walk behind some of the patients that are either relearning how to walk or use muscles and trying to gain strength with a walker, and I go behind them with the wheelchair and make sure that if they get fatigued or the leg gives out, that they've got a soft landing. So
Oh,
I've State's there. I've been there since Tuesday, and I have been busting my butt all week because I started about 3 weeks ago.
mhm.
But Monday, the day before they showed up, I was so glad that I did it when I did it. I took everything out of our storage closet or our supply closet rather, and cleaned everything and organized it, and they showed up the next day. But I've been doing that everything so I'm tired. How are you?
I'm always burnt out. That's like the funniest thing everybody always jokes around about because they're like, "How are you?" I'm like, tired. Well, Susan knows and Deb knows. I'm doing like 15-hour days now because everything I'm running for this is run at night, and I'm working with this guy with Down syndrome every day from like 9 to 3.
David.
Yeah, David. And then today, I had a guy that was supposed to be here. He had a brain injury, and he needs a lot of guidance and stuff. And it's all new for him. And he was supposed to be here at 4 o'clock today, and I waited around for 2.5 hours for him to get here, and he never showed. So I said, "Oh, all right. I could have taken a nap, but
Right.
I ran home, got something to eat, and I made dinner, and then I came right back here. So
Oh, yeah.
We got a lot of people on today.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot.
Well, Mike has been here before. You know Deb, obviously. Autumn's one of my best friends down in Texas, and she's a survivor as well, and she's been involved in what we've been doing forever.
That's nice. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, and Mike, I got another Mike on here. Oh, it's the same Mike. Oh, there we
Yeah, that's me.
go. Oh,
I
this is
see that.
Well, it's two mics. Man, I'm seeing double.
there we go. I was like, that's weird. I got a twin, but I can't do that. Okay.
Brady Bunch. Where did Autumn go?
There. Autumn she was just explaining, well, she has 2 jobs. I'll let her explain it, but she's working in a rehabilitation center. And there we go.
Sorry, I had to take care of my dog.
It's okay. Tressa was asking what you do. So I wanted you to explain it.
With what I'm doing now.
Yeah, both. Yeah.
Okay, so I started doing independent consulting with Perfectly Posh, which sells a lot of natural-based products for hair, face, lips, body, like skin products and stuff like that. And then I also work I started about 3 weeks ago working at a health and rehabilitation center. Most of our patients are long-term residents. We have some that are only there for 3 weeks. Basically, those are the ones that are like, hip replacements, shoulder replacements, rotator cuff tears. They're there temporarily. So they could be there long term, but most of the time they're there like about 3 weeks. And then there are some that are permanent residents of the facility. And I do a lot of the paperwork and filing and charting. I also do a lot of cleaning and picking up and organizing. And all I do with the patients is there's quite a few that whether it's because they have other like altered mental status, like dementia or Alzheimer's, I may have to watch them and just keep an eye on them to make sure they don't try to get up out of their wheelchairs, because some of them don't have very good strength in their legs and they could fall and hurt themselves. So just kind of keeping an eye on them and stuff like that.
Speaking about like that type of stuff, like I fell out my wheelchair. I thought I could walk, and I was going to the phone, and I couldn't walk. I just stepped out my bed, and I went face first on the ground, and I busted my chin open.
Oh,
Yes.
Speaking about like that stuff with the patients in wheelchairs getting up, no strength in their legs. I went through that.
Yeah. A lot of us have. It's very common for people that have brain injuries that has to build the processes back and build the strength back into their muscles, because it just causes a disconnect with the brain.
Yeah.
it's funny because that was one of my first like brain injury jobs after I had the brain injury and everything. Is I ended up doing volunteer recreational therapy at the same exact type of facility. Now Henry and Susan are both familiar with it, but they did.
Hi, yo. Sorry.
Well, hi, Henry. But I did volunteer recreational therapy, and it was at a place that was for brain injury survivors doing outpatient stuff, and then inpatient, like you said, live-in care, because they weren't able to take care of themselves any longer. So that's interesting. That's really cool, and you're getting paid for it. I didn't get that. I did it as a volunteer, but I learned a ton there.
Well, I had several at hospitals to work on cardiac units and stuff like that. First shift, third shift, they were all 12 hours, but no one picked me up. And every time I turned around, it was they kept saying, "Oh, well, you came here from somewhere. Verify your work information." Hey, you pick up a phone and you call the number.
It's real simple.
And they're like, "Well, we prefer you have local experience," and I just felt like that was a cop out. So I really wasn't expecting anything when I interviewed for this job. I in one day, my day was so crazy. I woke up and I thought, I have a whole bunch of stuff that I got to do for my posh business. So I was working on stuff. So I didn't even bother getting dressed. I was in a robe and I was in pajamas. Didn't like do my hair, nothing. And I get a phone call at like 9 a.m. and it was a recruiter for the company I work for, because we're contracted with that facility. So I don't work for the facility itself. I work for, independent contractor. And so I get the phone call and she spends about 3 minutes talking to me, and then she's like, "Oh, everything sounds great. Let me put you in touch with Larry." So about an hour later, I get a phone call from this guy. Come to find out, he was the regional director, the regional manager for the entire area. So he oversees the clinic. I talked to him he asked me 4 questions. So as soon as I answered all 4 questions, he was done. He was sold. He was like, "Okay, I'm going to call back. Everything's great. Let's move on." So Ty called me back in, and then she goes, "How soon can you come in for?" So what days are you looking like? This was like, well, how about today? 2:00. And by this time, after all that time had passed, it was already like almost noon. And I just like, oh, that's a little that's a little early for me. I've got something else going on. Is there another time? And she said, well, we can do 3 o'clock. So it gave me time to take a shower and stuff. So I was like, okay, 3 o'clock's perfect. So I went in for my interview. And I interviewed with my boss, my current boss, who's the director. And I was there an hour. She gave me a tour of the facility. She told me how many beds there were, all the whole 9 yards. I leave, and I'm thinking I'm not going to get the job. I wasn't nervous. I kind of had, after about 10 minutes in the interview, we kind of had some candor. I was very candid about stuff. And then we just went on, and I thought, I know I'm going to shoot myself in the foot, because she said, what makes you different than anyone else I would hire? And the thing I said was, I can relate to what your patients are going through. I want to go home. I don't want to be here. I just better. This is frustrating. I said all the pros and all the cons. I can relate to all of that. So I thought, she's not going to hire me, because I was honest about that.
It was the honesty.
Well, I kid you not. I left there within 10 minutes. I hadn't even made it to my house yet. I get a phone call from the recruiter, and she goes, you're hired.
That's great.
Yeah, I just didn't expect it. I wasn't expecting it. So,
That's awesome. I love hearing that.
thank you.
That's good. When you don't expect something and it just comes to you, you get it like, that's good.
It just comes naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like a lot of our patients. I mean, they're really sweet, and some may not know what day it is or year or anything else, but they're funny. There's one particular resident that said, well, man, she's a cleaner. And I thought, yeah, I am a cleaner. I do clean everything. So.
So let's see. All right, we got Sherry on, Deb, Tressa, Henry, Autumn.
Raquel.
Well, I was just.
Georgia.
Hi, me, Henry.
Hi, Deb.
Hey, Henry.
Hi, Georgia.
Hey.
Hey, Mike.
Hi.
Mike.
I didn't say Mike, go. I said Mike.
There's 2.
Oh, hello, Autumn. How are you? You're a good thing you check.
Where's my coffee?
Yeah.
Where's my coffee, Mike?
Hey, it's congratulations and all that, Autumn.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sorry, Mike. I'm making coffee, but the straw isn't long enough. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Is that one of those high-tech Keurigs, or is it just one of those standard ones?
Oh, no, that's a Keurig, but I'm the only one that drinks coffee here, so it keeps it simple. I've had the same big bucket of coffee here for about 6 months. I'm the only one that,
Hey, Mike, is that a Batman watch?
Yes, it is.
That's neat. I didn't know if it was me seeing it, like the reflection. That's pretty cool. I like it.
Yeah, it is. I used to clean houses out with a friend of mine, and this were with the landlord that I used to have, and people would leave stuff behind, and this is one of the things that I found. I've actually found PlayStations, I found Xboxes, like the newer ones, I found game systems, games, TVs, huge flat screen TVs. There was one house that we cleaned out at one point, like the people moved in, and then we got a phone call to clean it out, and I was like, okay, well, I wonder how this was going to be, because like our streak that week was like nothing but crap. Like people would just like trash the houses. Well, we go into this house. The TV still has the
You don't think I'm
the TV still has the
You gotta do it right there.
tags on it. The
Yeah.
couches still have the tags on them. The
Wow.
furniture still has the tags on them. Like all brand new stuff, and it's all set up to the point where it looks like they stocked everything in there, food and whatnot, got the electric and the gas and everything turned on, and just left and didn't come back.
Yeah.
I want it out.
So, and they left their vehicle, like one of their vehicles. It was a Lexus or something like that.
They left it?
They
Yeah,
must have been incarcerated. That could have been a lot of smuggled goods, and they got busted. That's what that sounds like.
It sounds
I
like
called
they.
the cops. I called the cops because I wasn't gonna touch anything.
Yeah, because that's a lot of hide items. It sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like everything was brand new, and I don't know if it was paid for or not, and it looked like, I mean, some of it had Rent-A-Center tags on it.
Oh.
But
Oh yeah, one of those things. Yeah.
yeah, so I called the police and I made a police report, and I told them that I was working with the landlord. We were cleaning houses out, and this is what I found. We go into the garage, and there's this like 2015 Lexus sitting there,
Oh.
and I was like, "This is what else I found." I was like, "I'm not touching any of this stuff. You guys can take it.
Yeah.
Do what you want with it."
That's right. No, you did the right thing. I have friends that do that kind of stuff too. So, yeah, Henry, we're watching you. Henry just sent a message. He's having issues with his laptop, and I just said I was going to tease him and tell him that we're trying to have a conversation here. But I noticed the hair on your fingers. That's how close you are to the camera. That's funny.
The one of the houses that we cleaned out had two meth pipes in it and a bunch of drugs. Another one that we cleaned out had like, I actually had to call the sheriff's department. Like the police department wouldn't, in the state of Indiana, in the city of Evansville, the police department only handles a certain amount of stuff. And if it's past a certain point, then you have to call the state police or the sheriff's department. There was a closet that probably had about 6 or 7 kilos of meth in it.
Wow. Yeah, that's. I was gonna go that route. And I'm like, yeah.
I was like, they got in there. I was like, okay, where's my reward for finding all this for you? Like, I just did your drug bust for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did 6 years of criminal justice in school, and I literally like have a half a semester left before I graduate, but I ran out of student loans and Pell Grants.
Oh
in order
yeah,
to
I
finish.
know that route. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're trying to get the funding back. Yeah.
Yeah, you can. It's hard to, but I did my internship at a corrections facility. I was able to do ride-alongs. I did a lot of stuff.
Was that before or after the military?
That was after.
I was gonna say because that holds some credibility too for it, especially if you're a veteran.
And the other problem is that being in the military and then going directly from the military trying to be a cop, I learned that it's just not the brightest idea because you learn to shoot and ask questions later.
Yeah.
And your basic instinct in the military is if somebody pulls a gun on you, what are you going to do? You're going to bring them down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're a cop and somebody does that, it's a possibility that it could trigger something, and you'd be in a lot more trouble.
My cousin was in the Marines and now he's a CO, and I hear the same things.
Did he ever go to DI?
I don't know, to be honest.
No. I've met some pretty funny DIs.
Yeah.
We had this guy. He had his last name. We know him. His name was Richard Sines, but we called him Metalhead. And the reason we called him Metalhead was because he, overseas in Fallujah, he got hit by an IED, and the IED had hit the back of his head. And, like, the way that it scarred, it looked like a biohazard sign.
No.
So, he was my, my heavy hat in the Marine Corps, and he was pretty interesting. I mean, we, we thought that he had a lot of problems, and I don't think he should have actually become a drill instructor.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that he did an actual pretty good job at doing his job. I mean, our senior drill instructor was probably the worst one that I've ever met. They've got to be hard on you for a reason.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I totally agree with that one.
We've can't count how many times we were quarter deck. Can't count how many times I got in trouble personally. I got a moonbeam thrown at the back of my head. I got hit in the face with the buttstock of an M16, which now they've actually gone from M16s to M4s because the M16 and sand and everything else, it'll rust and it'll clog. So I've got kicked in the throat by a jungle boot. I venture to say that a lot of my brain injury is probably from the Marine Corps.
Yeah, yeah. All right, hold on one second. We got a new person coming in. I want to see who this is. Hi, who is this Moto E4? Just your first name is fine. Hello? Is this somebody calling in, or is this somebody coming in by phone?
It looks like they're calling in. There's no mic.
Yeah. Hello? I don't know if they even know who they are. It's probably a Motorola phone.
Moto E.
Yeah.
E4.
Telemarketer?
It's all right. All right. I want to get on topic now because we've had a good 30, almost 40 minutes, and we have new people on, and my wife is listening in, so I want to behave. No, I'm just joking. Tonight's conversation is what can I do to improve? And this goes brain injury related or not.
I would definitely, I myself want to hear what everybody feels about that because I want to know how I can improve. I feel like I'm not all the way there, but I want to improve more. I want to know how. Like, what are some other things that everybody does that I could like try to work out too?
Well, being in going to, and this is me being modest, I don't even know if any of you noticed, but I've gone to group meetings about anxiety and stuff like that. And I didn't belong there really because I was like, wow, I saw the extremities of how bad it could really be for a lot of people. So I wrote down, I still keep notes, and I have it right here of things to do to help out with, and it's all brain injury related because a lot of us have issues with temperament, impulse control, and anxiety issues. And sometimes they're all tying together. And Susan will attest to this because she's probably more patient than anybody because she's always so damn quiet.
I know.
But she's a great listener. But that's something, she also
Yeah.
had the brain injury very young as well.
I can't say from my knowledge I've ever, not that I can recall, experienced anxiety, or that's the difference.
Well, that's what I was getting at, Susan.
Right.
Being that it happened to you so young, you kind of grew up just learning life, so you were always kind of, all right, your patience just it came natural. But those of us that had them fairly recently,
Yeah, it did.
the frustration's a big different way,
So, I can relate to you, Susan, because it happened to me when I was young. I was younger, so I feel like I could relate to you, and you could help me out. Cause he said you was younger when you had yours.
I was even younger than you.
She wasn't even 3 years old yet when she had
Oh
her
my
brain.
God! So yeah, I'd really like. I could learn from everybody, but I could really relate to Susan since she was younger and stuff.
Yeah, so what are you looking Hold on.
There's some key points that I wanted to bring up as I'm putting my creamer in my
Oh,
coffee.
sorry,
so I
Justin.
can
I was looking at the wrong
wake
picture.
up a little. Go ahead, Deb. What were you gonna say?
Justin, did you just change your picture?
Change my picture.
No, you didn't.
Wow.
Okay.
What picture?
Never mind.
On Facebook, that's what she's talking about.
On Facebook?
I'm talking about her one right here. Did y'all see it?
Oh no, I don't know.
I don't see it.
Sorry.
All I see is my face. I look at myself
I see you
talking.
now. I see you now.
Well, like the biggest one, I think for most of us, like I was saying, especially those of us that were, you know, of, I don't even want to say, I was going to say of sound mind, but that comes and goes too. Oh, who is that who just signed up? Oh, that was the mystery person. Okay. A big thing to do, and this helps out anybody, and this is the little key points that I was talking about, is one, knowing when to take breaks. When you could say, okay, I got to step back and move away from this situation and reassess it because I need to breathe and think things out. And that's a big one. And that leads to what I was talking about before is impulse control, because if you go with your immediate emotions and your opinions usually take over the correct response. And you need to step back and go, like kind of reassess the situation. I need to think about this for a minute, you know? And that leads to like a few of the things that I brought up. And of course, taking the break is a good one for all of us. Even if you're working, you're doing things, you got to take time for yourself to just reorganize your thought, think things through. And especially those of us that have some difficulty with multitasking, it's easily getting overwhelmed. Your brain's doing too many things
Here.
at one time. Your brain's doing too many things at one time. You're not thinking things out. Either it's one thing or it's a number of things you're not going to think out properly. So taking a break and stepping back and going one thing at a time. One thing at a time is all I can do right now.
The nice thing is also, I developed co-skills before I could ever get in to see anybody. So I didn't even know if I was doing stuff the right way or the wrong way. It was just what I learned the hard way that worked for me was setting, reminders and alarms, because everybody's got a phone almost nowadays. I can set 10 different alarms and put, okay, this is the time I got to get up. This is the time that I need to make sure that I'm checking, that I'm kind of staying on time, especially now that I'm working. It doesn't mean, just because I'm doing better, doesn't mean I'm over it. It means that I've adapted to, and there's some things that I have to follow with a routine. And if I can't follow a routine, then I have to set a million different alarms and do a million different things and making sure that I'm, staying on time. So all this week with everything I've been doing, is just getting a routine down early on.
Absolutely.
I'm 3 weeks and I'm just now starting to kind of establish a routine. But I've also had to explain to some people, I'm hearing, you need to make sure that I can acknowledge you so I can read your lips. Sometimes if it gets too loud in there, I need to make sure that I can at least face you. If there's something specific you need, okay, give me 2 seconds. And I'll focus 100% on you, so I'm not trying to multitask, because again, that can be challenging. So just a lot of times it's just educating others on what you're capable of, because it's not that you can't do something, it's just you have to do it a different way. It's a different approach.
I was about to say that the same thing is, even like you guys know how much like I'm working every day, and when we're home, I don't even know if Autumn knows this part, is we're taking care of my mother-in-law at home. So we have my mother-in-law at home who had 8 strokes and she's legally blind. So one of us always have to keep an eye on what's going on there. We have 3 dogs and 2 kids. So routine is everything. And those, like I said, the brain injury thing is a big key. Routine is everything. And that goes even, it's funny because we say the same thing to parents of autistic kids. Routine is everything. When I'm off, like my alarm on my phone every day up at 6:30. If it's not 6:30, it's 7:30 because I'll hit the snooze button 50 times. But every day it's 7:30. And then even on the weekends when I'm not, the dogs have to go out. And then I get my ball rolling because then your body clock is on time. You know, when you do have to rest, you got to take some breaks and you got to like just keep your head together. Otherwise, it's like, okay, I need to chill. You know, like when I drop off David at 3 o'clock, I've got an hour to just not think about anything. Because sometimes I have a meeting at 4 o'clock online, or I have a break and I'll say, okay, I'll take a nap and just clear my head and I'll doodle, I'll write something down. I do something that's completely off topic. I don't have to really think about anything.
That's why I have the worst vehicle in the world. Keeps my mind off everything, and it keeps
But
me.
that's your stress reliever.
Yeah, you've seen my vehicle. I just sent you pictures of what it looks like. I mean, I'm like tearing it apart piece by piece and just modifying it as much as I can to make it look nice. But I painted my rims black. A friend of mine and I have replaced the front end halfway. We're still working on the rest of it. I mean, tinkering with stuff is something that relieves stress, and it helps me be able to work on, like, when I was working at Toyota, I was used to thinking more under chaos. Like it was, if you know how Toyota works and like the factory and the plant and stuff, I worked outside the factory where I was loading and unloading vehicles, and it it was summertime, so it was like 90 degrees outside plus, sweating my ass off, trying to get these vehicles loaded, and we had maybe 170 rail cars that we had to fill, and each of them had carried 10 vehicles each. So if you can multiply that and how much we had to load, and there was only about 15 of us in a given day doing this, I mean, it was rough. So, and then I became team lead, which I was overseeing a bunch of people. So the chaos, under all the chaos and everything else, I was able to think more, and I was able to like be able to break down everything during the day. Okay, I need to do this. This needs to be done. This needs to be done.
Organize.
Yeah, because
Organize
it was
here.
what I was doing at work. It was organizing from work to home. So I was able to like set this appointment, set that appointment, do this and do that. And then when I got into a car accident, it was like everything fell apart. It was like everything came crashing down on me. Like I couldn't think straight. My mind wasn't processing things like it should. Like my girlfriend has to remind me to do this now and then, do that every now and then. I forget simple tasks like pouring drinks for the kids, or cleaning dishes, or even picking something up off the floor. Like I forget these simple tasks now, and it's so frustrating to me that I get irritated with myself and I end up snapping on her or the kids.
Oh. Oh yeah, I know. I've been the culprit of that, and it'll tell you that too.
I mean,
It's overload. It's overload.
yeah, it is, and it's like I feel if I'm not getting any better, I'm getting worse.
Mhm.
And like I'm glad the twitches are gone. Like there was a neural issue where when I first had the brain injury from the accident, where my muscles in my neck would contort and it would twitch. Like it was a really bad muscle spasm, I guess you would call it.
Mhm.
And that's why they put me in physical therapy. And I felt so frustrated being in physical therapy, speech therapy. Like they went from physical therapy to speech therapy to cognitive therapy to all this other therapy. And I was like, one night I just sat there wondering to myself, why do I need all this?
It kills your pride. It really
Yeah, it
takes its
does.
toll on you. Yeah. No, I know. As you're naming it off, I went, oh yeah, yeah.
Like I don't need like cognitive. Well, I knew I needed cognitive therapy because I couldn't think, but the physical therapy, it was only supposed to be like a couple weeks to learn how to be able to walk on my right side again because my right side was lagging, which oddly enough I got hit on the right side, but the most impact came on my left. Like
That's the way the body works. Left
I
side
went
of your body affects the
Right.
right. Left side of your brain affects the right. Yeah.
I went halfway through the driver's side window.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, my left side was affected and my right side was lagging. Like when they were doing the eye exam, like this, my right side was like, and my left side was all the way over here. Like my left eye was all the way like this, and it was like my eyes were like this, and I was like, okay, there's something wrong when I can see my doctor over here and I can see the door this way.
Yeah.
So over the course of a couple weeks, they got that all aligned and straightened out. They gave me projects to do. You take like two markers and you hold them up and you look back and forth at them.
Yep.
It'll help coordinate your eyes and stuff.
That's called convergence insufficiency. I know exactly. I went through that when I was a kid. Same
Okay.
exact thing. I know a lot of, and that has nothing. That's well for you it was a brain injury related thing. For me it wasn't. It was the muscles in my eyes. But what you went through, that's why it impacted you like that.
My doctor feels that I have a neural issue. Like I have, like there's neurons that are firing off that aren't connecting correctly, so it's causing like these really sharp headaches and stuff, like the real bad pain, and they only last for a couple minutes, if that, and then they go away. And it starts on this side, and it's like if I ignore it, it's like a nagging kid. Like if I ignore it, it goes to this side, and then it just keeps going, and it just gets worse. But then it stops, and um, they said that they recommend it to do like a pain block or something, like a nerve block. But I really want to look at like most options before because I don't want to do something and it ends up making me worse as a person and as like a father. I
Yeah.
want something that they'll actually like work.
Are you still getting insurance through the government, like through your
TRICARE?
yeah, through the armed forces? Are you still getting insurance through them? Health insurance?
It's limited.
Or do you have VA?
It's limited.
Yeah.
Wait, are you driving?
Yeah, she's driving. I do that too. I can't say anything about it. But she's paying attention to the road, not us. She's just
Yeah.
what I was gonna say, Mike, I think that one of the things that'll help you out, and this is why because insurance is expensive, and I need to know if you have insurance coverage for it, is one of the things that may help benefit that is HBOT. Hyperbaric oxygen therapy might help you with those things, especially with the neurons and the headaches and stuff like that, because you're always recovering. You're always going to be recuperating, and your brain helps fix itself if it's you get the right kind of therapy that way.
But they said that they could like backtrack this. The VA said that they could backtrack this, and this was before the accident. Like they they were able to like I guess deem it an overseas issue,
Mm-hmm.
like from a head injury from overseas. And I told my doctor that, and he was like, "Well, if the VA is gonna like deem it that at that time," and this was I got out in 2007. They told me this about 2008, 2009, and the accident was last September. He said that you might want to talk to the VA and tell them that you're having more issues. And don't, he said that sadly enough, you might not want to tell them that you were in a car accident, but just tell them that you're having more issues and you're having more headaches and more problems and everything else. And they might actually pay for something that would work. So
That's true. That's very true because those kinds of things can be related to PTSD and as well as that was documented, a pre-existing condition before the accident. So that might be a very good thing for you to look into. But the HBOT, that's my own opinion. I could do is make suggestions, but I think that would be able to help you out. There was 5 different things when I was going to the clinic and talking to people that were there about different things that are issues. It touches base on what Tressa was talking about, and Deb and I know, and I mean everybody here. But one is breathing. Breathing techniques helps reduce stress. And if anybody needs any information about that, ask me and I'll tell you, one on one about it. Exercise. I don't care if you can go to a gym or not. If you could be home, there's exercises you can do to and this along the lines of what Mike was saying before, is doing things constructive to help preoccupy your time, but in every way, shape, or form, the things I'm talking about will help you out in any way, whether what kind of stress or how or anything. Anybody can do these things, and there's these 5 things. One was breathing, one is exercise. Speaking to someone is, of course, as you all know, speaking to somebody about stuff is more beneficial to get things off your chest. And all right, Tressa. And it sounds simple, but it's a great distraction, especially if you do it constructively. And I've been like this since I was a little kid. Is reading. Learn something. Read. You could read just about anything, and it would be wonderful for you.
Oh yeah, I sat up for about 4 days straight, and I researched the fall of the Roman Empire.
I mean, I'm fascinated with history, but reading about anything that interests you is a good distraction to get your mind off things, and you're building your mind. It's just a win-win situation. And 2 other things, and they kind of correlate together, which is a good stress reliever and a way to document things. And I push this. I never did it myself, and well, I did when I was younger, and then I ended up doing it as I got older. Is writing a journal is huge, and I stress this so much in our group, and when I do one-on-one conversations with family members, is writing a journal. Nothing is better than documentation about the way you're feeling, how you feel, what you think of you, what would be best for you. Document it, and then come back. As you write a journal, you can always backtrack and go, I remember thinking about this. Or you could say, I don't remember thinking about this, and backtrack and go, oh, damn, look at that. I do it when I came out of the brain trauma unit. I still look at the notes that I have from when I was just coming out of my brain injury, the initial brain injury. And I see how much I came and what I had to do to accomplish things. But regardless, anything, life circumstances, family, just your own mind, just your own stresses and depression and things like that. You're keeping a journal just like you would go to a gym and exercise your body, and you write that down of how you progress. You're doing the same thing with your mind. If you write a journal and you write down the things that you need to accomplish and overcome, and setting goals, that's all done by just writing things down. I think is huge. I wish Tressa was on here, because this is a big thing that I think would help her out, because I know the anguish she goes through and the stresses she is always running around with about everything since her, because she's younger than all of us, and she still deals with the bouts of who's involved with what around her in her life since the brain injury, because she was in a car full of friends when she had her brain injury, and she's the only one that really sustained a major impact of it. So there's always the blame game and pointing fingers and all that kind of nonsense.
Another thing I wanted to add,
Yes.
a lot of times with brain injuries, depending on how it's affected you, I know my reading and writing and comprehension was affected, so that initially I couldn't do. But what has helped a lot of people is textures, like a texture type therapy similar to someone with autism. There's certain textures that people like, certain textures that they don't like, and quite a few patients at our facility and elsewhere, you'll see them, and it's not so much the fact that they have this article with them, whether it's a blanket or a slipper or something, it's the texture of that comforts them.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, the stimulation, the sensory stimulation is big. And then my wife knows that too.
Yeah, it's stimulation, but it's not an overwhelming type of sensation for them, and it's not something like, because I there's times where if we're in a huge crowd, I do feel almost similar to how autistic people describe how they feel with the anxiety and just everything kind of closing in on them. And I wasn't like that before the brain injury. Yeah, I'm like that now. And
I hear that a lot. Yeah.
yeah, and speaking of which, like, I actually just saw a psychiatrist this past week, and because military won't prescribe it, they're like, oh, we can't do this. And I haven't been to a military treatment facility in 16 years, so this is I'm basically getting my feet wet again with how it's completely different than civilian health care. But they couldn't prescribe me any anxiety medication. I had to see a psychiatrist for that. And the psychiatrist point blank asked me, like, what are you wanting out of this appointment? And I just was very honest. And I said, look, I'm expected to fly home next week, and I'm going to be there for a week, and I'm terrified of flying. I hate heights. So what can I, I've had this in the past, and it didn't do anything. I need something other than that to, because I get on a plane and I'm freaking out, and I told my daughter, I said, don't get too upset with me if I get all the way there and then I have a panic attack and then I can't get on. And I have a service dog now. I got her, I've only had her for about a month.
Mm-hmm.
And she's still young, so she's still learning. And she actually has special needs as well. She's deaf, so she knows some hand signals and stuff that they taught her. And then I'm teaching her more signs. And, so she's learning. But I'm planning on taking her with me on the plane. They said as long as I had my documentation, that everything should be fine. So I'm hoping that I don't run into any major issues. I've got picture ID for her, picture ID for me. The doctor ended up prescribing me Ativan. So he said, I'm only going to give you 4. That should be plenty. He goes, but I'm not giving you more than 4. And I said, that's fine. So I just told him, I said, give me something that I can take that will knock me out. So if that plane comes out of the sky and crashes, I don't know what happened. I don't need to know. I'd rather just go. But as it gets closer and closer, I'm getting more and more anxious, and I think that's the only thing that's kind of helped me get through all the physical stuff that I've had to do this week with work. It's been so consuming and everything, but my mind's just, I'm trying hard not to think about the flying.
Yeah.
It's just the day it's getting closer and closer, and while I love my family, I would just rather drive.
I understand that.
My sister has the same anxiety issues with flying, and she goes into serious panic attacks. She used to be that way about driving too, so she never went anywhere, like highways. She had the highway thing, and then she had a thing about flying too. That's wonderful about the service dog that you've got. That's awesome. I'm very happy about that. Yeah, I know therapy.
Oh, go ahead, Michael.
No, that's all. I just wanted to congratulate.
I wanted to say something to Autumn about just be careful with that medication. That's why I have brain damage, because they put me on a benzodiazepine after I had my twins, and I didn't know what I was taking. Anyways, they don't know how to taper those drugs. Anyways, I had seizures, and that's why I have an anoxic brain injury. But they're very addictive.
Well, I don't. So the reason why a lot of times none of that stuff works for me is because my anxiety is so bad. I'm not kidding you. I get a death grip on the seat. I don't move. I don't expect me to move. Don't put me on the end seat. Don't open a window. None of that. I have such a hard time, and I pray every time I get on a plane, dear God, please do not sit a child next to me, because I will scare the living crap out of that child. Not intentionally, but and the weird thing is my brain injury, I had 2 severe traumas, one a fall injury, and then the same year, a head-on collision, and so they're thinking it was a compound of the two because they never took me seriously the first time around, and it was a delayed reaction. And like 2 months later, you know, I'm having a procedure and I'm paralyzed, and then next thing you know, I'm having emergency surgery, and it just kind of fast forward, and I had to do everything all over again. So it was just this compound effect. So it was kind of like, okay, well, we think what happened was you had a concussion the first time. You weren't properly treated. You weren't properly diagnosed. They didn't do anything. Technically, I could have sued, but I just wanted to I was so frustrated with the whole situation and mad at myself that I wasn't, quote, normal. I just wanted to get through it. I just wanted to be like, okay, I went from A to B, let's go to Z. And it took a long time for me to kind of take a step back and go, I can't do that. I can't rush it because it's not working. Rushing it's only stressing me out more, and it makes the more stress I have and everything gets increased, and the worse it gets.
Okay, so we're muting because they got rowdy.
Okay. All right. I got you. Mike said he'll be right back. Okay. And Tressa said she'll be right back, and Henry said he'll be right back. He's doing
I
laundry.
hope everything goes well on the plane flight. I understand because I'm scared of flying too. I used to have panic attacks like after I had my kids. I think that's what they were very bad. So I understand, you know, it's not a fun thing to go through.
Yeah, no, I think we can all kind of relate to something or another with each of our experiences, even if they're not the same experience. We all have a lot of things in common.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's
But
a lot of little things that are triggers for people.
Yeah, the medication
I'm back.
made me a lot worse. So.
Hey, Mike, I'm back.
I see you.
I know what you did good dinner tonight.
Mike said he'll be right back. We're waiting for Tressa to come back. And we're all just chit-chatting now. We're talking about different things to help out stress relief and helping about more about improving, not stress relief, but improving ourselves. And Autumn brought up a key thing, and I love this, and I think all of us are pretty good with that, is being like modesty and open-minded about things to help ourselves. And so far, everybody here I know personally is very, very good at doing that. Aside from my wife, who doesn't, she loves to give great advice to people, but she doesn't like to take it for herself. But because she's always doing, and going for others. But no, but we have some members, and some of you know who it is, who want to complain about how bad their life is, but doesn't want to move forward as far as getting things done to get better. And it's some people with issues in Canada, to give you a little hint of who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Really?
So, so I wrote some key things here, and you brought it up too before, Henry, was exercise.
Yes.
And you and I have talked about that.
That's a big key.
You don't have to go to a gym. You don't have to go anywhere. You could do them from home, but any exercise is better than nothing. You know?
Yes.
So, what I said, breathing, exercise, talking to someone, reading, writing, and using a journal. And when it gets back on, I got to go over these details with her. All right. Oh, let me see who this one is. Hi, who's this with the Samsung?
Hey, Samsung.
I see. Hi, Samsung.
How's it going? Oh, I see the person.
Yeah, we see you, but I don't know who it is. I'm trying to remember. I recognize it.
I think they're trying to get
Hi. Can you hear us okay? You just nod your head. I can't hear you. Our Samsung person. Oh. Is this Natalie? Yeah, I think that's Natalie who said she was gonna. She asked me for the information, so I said okay. Um,
Now, Michael,
yes.
now when, I mean, you know this, but a lot of other people in the group don't know this because there's quite a few that's new. But when Rachel first started coming and staying with us in August, her anxiety was off the charts.
Yeah.
And since she's been here, when her anxiety acts up, what we do is I rub her face, I rub her shoulders, and we sing songs. And I've noticed that since we've done that, it's helped her anxiety a lot, and it's also brought her personality out to the point where she will talk to strangers now, and she's never done that.
That's being comfortable with expression. Yeah, that goes along, and that's something I was talking about reading and writing and talking and exercise. But that's another one, music. Of course, everybody likes massage.
Yeah, of course.
Very often.
When
But
she takes
yeah,
naps, we listen to Mozart and just the musical information or the musical with no words to it.
yeah,
And
I
she
love
likes
orchestra. I love orchestra music.
Gintania, Selena Gintania.
Yeah. Now, music therapy is good for everybody. I think everybody can, whatever kind of music you like, it's therapeutic because you're focusing on it. You're using a lot of different senses. You're hearing. You're hearing what sometimes you're listening, whether it's video or something like that. But you're hearing. You're listening. You're singing. You're using a lot of different things to go along that'll help stimulate you and fix things and help you feel better. But it's another, just like I was saying with all those other, it's a good distraction. It's a positive distraction of just getting your mind off things and helping you relax a little bit.
Right. And then she also, we've got a bunch of pictures of her family and her kids and her friends and stuff. And we go with the face recognition. So that way it helps her to remember who's who.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't personally have a brain injury, but I have a lot of memory loss and I can't remember, and I got anxiety and all kinds of other different things. But so I can empathize with her on some of the things, but I can't 100% empathize like y'all can.
Well,
And
that's a big key, Sherry, with you getting in on these calls because I don't anything, even from, I mean, you have a caregiver's perspective, but just a general person that isn't a survivor, but is open to learning about it. Because you never know if when it can happen to somebody you love or somebody you know or yourself.
right.
You know what I mean? If I had this knowledge and this experience before I had a brain injury, I would have tackled this in a heartbeat. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I think all of us could say that. You're like, all right, I know how I'm going to I can get over this.
Right. And I told Rachel, I said she's got me into a lot of different things. We do physical therapy, which I'm not an exercising person at all.
I am.
She is.
I love it. That's great.
And now she's got me learning how to do hair, do nails, and now she's got me back in school studying brain injuries. And quite honest, when all this took effect, I knew brain injury. I knew nothing further than the two words.
Yeah.
And she's got me studying at night. When she goes to bed, I'm up for about 2.5, 3 hours. The situation. So that way, because the more I know about her brain injury, the more I can help her and relate to her, because it's hard for me to relate when I've never dealt with it before.
Never done it before.
I totally agree on that. I mean, that's the big common thing. Goes, oh, like I get people that have MS. And they go, I have MS. I don't have a brain injury. And I'm like, really? Do you see a neurologist? They go, of course. I go, it's a brain injury. Because I see the same doctor. But this is the knowledge. This is the mentality a lot of people have. They think of one thing. They're like, I don't have a brain injury. I have a stroke. I don't have a brain injury. I have, well, most people with hydrocephalus will say, I have a brain injury. But but there's all different types of things. Tumors. People goes, oh, do you take care of cancer survivors? Yeah. What kind of cancers? Tumors. Where's a tumor? It's a brain tumor. Well, anything that's going to affect your brain is going to be a brain injury. You know, it is what it is. It's the neuropathy that has to do with being a diabetic, but it's that.
No, not always.
What's that?
I said no, not always.
What's that? What do you mean?
Neuropathy.
Oh no, I'm saying just that kind of thing with like sugar, like your sugar drops and blah blah blah. That's going to have an impact on you neurologically.
Yes, true.
Everything goes. So it is just a neurological. It's still another neurological impairment.
Well, and especially in the elderly people, when they get UTIs, a lot of times because as you age, you start to lose a lot of your senses.
Yeah.
And especially depending on what kind of life you led. If you lived a very hard life, by a certain age, you may not feel a whole lot. So when you start to experience a UTI, they only know it basically because you start to have altered mental status. And you start thinking, oh, okay, did they have a stroke? Did they have this? Did they have that? And they find out once the test comes back that they have a UTI.
Yeah. Yep.
And with Rachel, you know, because she was in a nursing home for 5 years, and I've had her since this past August. It's almost been a year, and she hasn't seen a neurological doctor in 5 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh my God, that's nuts. I can't.
Because of the family, her immediate family that was taking care of her didn't care enough to make people do things for her.
Yeah.
No, stick you down here and you run home.
Oh, the amount of love that she's received is unreal.
Yeah. Me, on the other hand, I want to get her into all the doctors and get rated, so that way it will help me understand, and it also make her better, because if I don't know something, I can't fix it.
Yeah, the more you understand, the more care she's going to get. We all know that.
So, but I'm excited about the June 24th appointment, because if she hasn't been to the neurological doctor in 5 years, just to see how much change has been there.
Yeah.
And I mean, you seen Rachel when we first started having these meetings with y'all in August or September. Yeah. She wasn't doing nothing. And now, if she feels like saying something, she's gonna say it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
it. And she look. You gotta look at the circle.
Yeah,
and,
say it.
Yeah, you say it, and you know, and I want her to do that. And then when people, her family members that come and see her from time to time, you know, they want a baby talk her, and I'm like, but she's a grown woman. You need to speak to her just like you would any other adult.
Yeah.
Don't baby talk her. And she's like, well, she might not understand. I said, baby, she understands more than what she's leading on, because I know she messes with me a lot of times when I ask her a question.
Yeah.
Good.
And her standing up for about 10 seconds a day on her own with no assistance, I'm telling you, I was ugly crying. Don't mess with the lamp. And she got a what is that thing called? I call it a triangle. It's not a triangle. It's a trapeze that goes on her bed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Pull yourself up.
She's able to pull herself into a sitting position with that.
Good job.
And that's amazing. I'm telling you, I'm very emotional. Every small thing that Rachel does, she watches me cry as she's laughing at me.
Oh.
So it matters.
It's all good in the hood.
Yep.
Yep.
The hood for good.
The hood for good. She's an incredible encouragement to me.
Yep. Every day, all day.
Every day, all day.
Yeah.
Well, then mute that TV, baby.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not only a caretaker of Rachel, but I take care of my daughter that's ADHD.
Mama.
And then I also take care of my disabled mother And then my husband's having 2 major back surgeries next month. So, you know, it's not just Rachel, but Rachel is the big focus. But Mama just had her hip replaced, and I have to give her shots in her stomach every night.
Oh my goodness.
And we went to the support group the other day because we go to 2 different support groups. We go to one in Gadsden and one in Gadsden. And the one that we just went to, we made a bunch of cards and get well cards and stuff to take to the VA for the veterans. I love me some veterans.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh. Veterans and Raquel. Ooh.
Yeah.
Hi, Mike. Thanks for coming back.
Right.
We lost Henry again.
People you bought.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for
Turn
Tress.
my video up.
Cool. Yeah, a big, like, another thing that I wanted to say, well, this goes, Sherry should be doing this. Well, she is already. I was going to say patience, but she's got the patience of a saint. Something that a lot of us don't do, because we become so preoccupied with things going on. Oh, there's Henry. Is we gotta, like, kind of think of what other people think. Like, we gotta put ourselves in other people's shoes a lot of times, and be considerate of whatever they might be going through as well. You know, especially like if we're a survivor or we're caregiving for somebody, we got to put ourselves in their shoes and say, what do they got going on? And that's a lot of times we all get wrapped up in ourselves and our own struggles and our own strives and whatnot. But we gotta, it's a big, big thing. I mean, somebody I just wrote a post up here on Facebook. I want to read it to you. I put up a post about something here. Let me see. My mouse is going dead. I put up this post saying grudges are a waste of perfect happiness. Laugh when you can, apologize when you should, and let go of what you can't change. And this lady says to me, how do we distinguish when we're mistreated and whom we do not trust? And my answer was the same thing, and it goes along with all of this, is filter. Filter everything that's going around you. Filter yourself, filter your own mouth, your own thoughts, your own opinions. You keep your guard up. Of course, that's being defensive, but also that also helps you be more understanding, like you listen more. And then communicate properly. That's a huge, huge thing. That was my response back to that lady. But there's so many things we got to do when we care about each other so much and the people that are involved in our lives, whether it's a girlfriend, a wife, a husband, a brother, a boyfriend, the caregiver, a loved one, or whatever, is you got to think of what they might be thinking, you know, or their own lives, because everybody's got a life and an opinion and struggles of their own on top of yours. You know, like you want to help, you want to get help, you want some assistance with stuff, but you got to be able to talk to each other in order to meet at some kind of happy medium. That's a big, big thing. Like when you're pissed off about something, don't just blurt something out, but you say, we got to address this. We got to talk about this. We need to do this. The last thing for all of us that are brain injury survivors, all of us, anybody and everybody, is a big thing to do. And this is what I was talking about a journal before, is write your opinion down. If you write something down, it gives you a second to think it out. And it'll also be a reminder of things that you want to go over later. This is something that upset me. You don't present it as this is something that really pissed me off. You say, this is something we need to talk about that's been on my mind or was on my mind. You know? And you don't let it accumulate. You don't let it bottle up, and you don't let them stack in your mind or whatever, because even though you might forget, it's still there. And it will pile up, and then you get frustrated and overwhelmed, and then you have a blow up. So it's a big thing to write your opinion. I can't stress that enough. Keeping a journal and writing things down. writing things down is better than anything, even if it's just gibberish or broken sentences. Sometimes you go over it and you go, what was that about? And you're thinking, you're like trying to recap something, and you'll remember a circumstance or something like that. But don't let it rehash. You got to talk about things. Don't ignore it. Don't, say, we'll do this, or just ignore it or anything like that. You got to communicate. The key way to do that is writing things down and keeping a journal. It's a big, big thing for good stress relief, getting it off your mind, getting it off your plate. And then once you write it down, you move on. You take a deep breath. You go, all right, I'm done. I'll get back to this later. Let's go back to doing something productive. You get it off your plate.
Idea.
So, improvement. Right.
Done something. It came out pretty good. But it was very, very